Hello and welcome. My name is Alan and we are back with more. The Prose Edda. Today, let's get into a little more of talking to the gods about everything. Oh, looks like we're going to be getting quite a bit into the actual gods themselves. Tyr, Frey, Freya, Balder, Thor, Odin. So yeah. But first, Part 19, Summer and Winter. Then Gangleri asked, "Why is there such a difference between the heat of summer and the cold of winter?" Hai answered, "A wise man would not have asked, because everyone can answer this. But if you are a man of such little learning that you have not heard this before, then I would rather that you, in your indulgent ignorance, ask than continue to be unaware of what one ought to know. Svasud, in the name of the father of summer, is the name of the father of summer. He is the man so content that from his name comes the expression, is it Vaslit, referring to what is pleasant. The father of winter is alternatively called Vindloni or Vindsval, wind chill. He is the son of Vasad, or damp cold. These are the cruel and cold-hearted kinsmen, and winter takes its nature from them. Part 20, Odin the Allfather. Then Gangleri said, "Which Aesir ought men to believe in?" Hai answered, "There are 12 Aesir whose nature is divine." Then, just as Hai added, "The goddesses are no less sacred, nor are they less powerful." Then third said, "Odin is the highest and oldest of the gods. He rules in all matters, and although the other gods are powerful, all serve him as children do their father. Frigg is his wife. She knows the fates of men, even though she pronounces no prophecies. So it is said here, when Odin himself spoke to one of the Aesir called Loki. "You are raving, Loki, and out of your mind. Why, Loki, do you not stop? Frigg knows, I believe, the fate of all, though she herself says nothing." Odin is called Allfather because he is the father of all the gods. He is also called father of the slain, Valfather, because all who fall in battle are his adopted sons. With them he mans Valhalla and Vingolf, and they are known as the Einherjar. He is also called Hangagod, or God of the Hanged, Hoptagod, God of prisoners, and Pharmagod, God of cargoes. And he named himself in many other ways on his visit to King Geirrod. I call myself Grim and Gangleri. Herjan Hjalmberry Thek Frid Thun Un Helbindi Har San Svipal Sangatal Hertait Nikar Beileg, Baleg, Bolverk, Fjornir, Grimnir, Glapsvid, Fjolsvid, Sidhot, Sidskeg, Sigfather, Nikud Allfather, Astrid, Farmatir, Oski, Omi, Jafnhar, Blindi, Gonlir, Harbard, Svidur, Svidrir, Jalk, Kjalar, Vider, Fror, Ig, Thund, Vak, Skilfing, Valfud, Hrottatir, Gaut, and Veratir. Then Gungleri said, "You have given him a large number of names, truly. It would be a mark of great learning to be able to relate all the events that lie behind each of these names." Then Hai said, "To go carefully through all of that requires much wisdom. Nevertheless, it can quickly be said that most names were given because, with all the different branches of languages in the world, each of the peoples needed to change his name to their own tongue to worship and to pray. But some names derive from the events that took place on his travels. They have formed into tales, and you will never be called a wise man if you are unable to recount the great events." Part 21, Thor. Then Gungleri said, "There are names of the other What are the names of the other Aesir? How do they occupy themselves? What have they done of importance?" Hai replied, "Thor is foremost among them, called Thor of the Aesir, Asa Thor, and Thor of the Charioteer, Oku Thor. He is the strongest of all gods and men. He rules at the place called Thrudvangar, or Plains of Strength, and his hall is called Bilkskinir. There are 540 living spaces in the hall, and it is the largest building that men have erected. So it says in the Lay of Grimnir. 500 rooms and 40 more are found, I believe, when counted in Bilkskinir. Of those residences whose roofs I recognize, my sons I know is the largest. Thor has two male goats called Tangniost, or Tooth Gnasher, and Tangrisnir, or Snarltooth. He also owns the chariot that they draw, and for this reason he is called Thor the Charioteer. He too has three choice possessions. One is the hammer Mjolnir. Frost giants and mountain giants recognize it when it is raised in the air, which is not surprising, as it has cracked many a skull among their fathers and kinsmen. His second great treasure is his Magingyard, or belt of strength. When he buckles it on, his divine strength doubles. His third possession, the gloves of iron, are also a great treasure. He cannot be without these when he grips the hammer's shaft. No one is so wise that he can recount all of Thor's important deeds. I myself can tell you so many significant tales about him that hours would pass before I have said all I know. Part 22, Balder. Then Gongleri said, I would like to hear about other Aesir. Hai said, Odin's second son is Balder, and there is much good to tell about him. He is the best, and all praise him. He is so beautiful and so bright that light shines from him. One plant is so white that it is likened to Balder's brow. It is the whitest of all plants, and from this you can judge the beauty of both his hair and his body. He is the wisest of the gods. He is also the most beautifully spoken and most merciful. But one of his characteristics is that none of his decisions is effective. He lives at the place called Bridablisk. It is in heaven, and no impurity may be there, as it is said. Bridablisk is called where Balder has made a home for himself, a hall, in that land where I know they are the fewest perils. Part 23, Njord and Skadi. The third god is named Njord. He lives in heaven at the place called Noatun, or enclosure for ships. He rules over the movement of the winds, and he can calm the sea and fire. One invokes him in seafaring and fishing. He is so rich and prosperous that he can grant wealth and lands or valuables to those who ask for his aid. Njord is not of the Aesir family. He was brought up in Vanaheim, but the Vanir sent him as a hostage to the gods. In return, they took as a hostage from the Aesir the one called Honir, and his exchange contributed to the peace between the gods and the Vanir. Njord has a wife called Skadi, the daughter of Thiazi, the giant. Skadi wanted to live in the home of her father had owned up in the mountains of Thrymheim, or Thunderhome, but Njord wanted to be near the sea. They came to an agreement that they would stay 9 nights in Thrymheim and the next 3 nights at Noatun. But when Njord returned to Noatun from the mountain, he said, Hateful for me are the mountains. I was not long there, only 9 nights. The howling of wolves sounded ugly to me after the song of swans. Then Skadi said this, Sleep I could not on the seabeds for the screeching of the bird. That gull wakes me when from the wide sea he comes each morning. Then Skadi went up in the mountains and lived at Thrymheim. She travels much on skis, carries a bow, and shoots wild animals. She is called the ski god or the ski lady, as it is said. Thrymheim it is called, where Thiazi lived, the mighty giant. But now Skadi, pure bride of gods, lives in her father's old house. Part 24, Frey and Freya. After this, Njord of Noatun had 2 children. The son was called Frey and the daughter Freya. They were beautiful and powerful. Frey is the most splendid of the gods. He controls the rain and the shining of the sun, and though through them the bounty of the earth. It is good to invoke him for peace and abundance. He also determines men's successes and prosperity. Freya is the most splendid of the goddesses. She has a home in heaven called Folkvanir, or Warriors' Fields. Wherever she rides into battle, half of the slain belong to her. Odin takes the other half, as it says here. Folkvang it is called, and there Freya decides the choice of seats in the hall. Half the slain she chooses each day, and half belong to Odin. Her hall, Sesrumnir, or with many seats, is large and beautiful. When she travels, she drives a chariot drawn by two cats, and from her name comes the tale of honor, or title of honor, whereby women of rank are called Frovor, or ladies. She delights in love songs, and it is good to call on her in matters of love. Part 25, Tyr. Then Gongleri said, the Aesir seem to me to be very powerful, and it is not surprising that there is so much strength in you, since you know so much about the gods and are aware of to whom each kind of prayer should be directed. Are there still more gods? I answered, Tyr is the name of another of the Aesir. He is the boldest and most courageous, and it is very much up to him who wins in battle. For men of action, uh, he is good to invoke. The expression is that a man is Tyr courageous if he is the type who advances out in front, never losing his courage. Tyr is so wise and that a clever person is said to the be Tyr wise. It is a mark of his daring that when the Aesir tried to lure the wolf Fenrir in order to place the fetter Gleipnir on him, the wolf would not trust the gods to free him until finally they placed Tyr's hand as a pledge in the wolf's mouth. Then, when the Aesir refused to free him, the wolf bit off the hand at what is now called the wolf joint. Because of this, Tyr is one-handed, and men do not think of him as a peacemaker. Part 26, Bragi. One of the gods is called Bragi. Though renowned for his wisdom, he is mostly known for his eloquence and his way with words. He is the most knowledgeable about poetry. Because of him, poetry is named Brag. From his name comes the usage whereby a person more skilled with words than others is called Bragger, or the foremost of men or women. His wife is Idun. In her private wooden box she keeps the apples which the gods bite into when they begin to grow old. They all become young again, and so it will be right up to Ragnarok. Then Gongleri said, it seems to me that the gods are greatly dependent upon Idun's care and good faith. I said, as he laughed, misfortune once came close. I could tell you about those events, but first you shall hear the names of still more Aesir. Part 27, Heimdall. Heimdall is one. He is called the White God and is more powerful and sacred. 9 maidens, all sisters, gave birth to him as their son. He is also known as Holinskidi and Golantani, or gold tooth, as his teeth are gold. His horse is called Goldtop, or golden forelock. He lives near Bifrost at a place called Himinbjorg. He is the watchman of the gods and sits at heaven's end, where he keeps watch over the bridge against the mountain giants. He needs less sleep than a bird and can see equally well by night or by day, a distance of 100 leagues. He hears the grass growing on the earth and the wool on sheep, as well as everything else that makes more noise. He has the horn known as Gjallarhorn, and its blast can be heard in all worlds. Heimdall's sword is called a head. It is said, Himinbjorg it is called, and there Heimdall rules over sacred places. There the watchman of the gods drinks in his comfortable lodgings, happily the good mead. Further, he himself says in Heimdall's chant, of 9 mothers I am the child, of 9 sisters I am the son. Part 28, Hod. Hod is the name of one of the gods. He is blind and immensely strong. The gods would have wished to avoid mentioning the name of this member of the Aesir, because the work of his hands will long be remembered by gods and men. Part 29, Vidar. One is called Vidar. He is the silent god. He has a thick shoe and is nearly as strong as Thor. The gods rely on him in all difficulties. But we'll go ahead and end this episode there. Yeah, we are going through all the different gods. Seeing what else is coming up. So we'll be seeing more members of Asgard, Valkyries. They mention the monstrous children of Loki. They talk about Valhalla. Yeah. But we're getting a lot done here. We're starting to see some of the gods, who they are. But yeah, as always, educate thyself, think, read, study, learn. Someone tries to tell you something you have trouble believing, ask them to cite their sources. I'll see you all in the next video. Until then, later.